A warm greeting to one and all. Dear friends, myself, Dr. S.B. Kishore, welcome you all in the today's session, language evaluation. Under that, we are going to discuss about generations of language. This is one of the important topics when you are learning programming logic and technique or computer fundamental or information technology. So let us revise what we have learned in our earlier concept or earlier sessions. We have discussed about the algorithm, then we have seen what is process. Under that we have discussed about the sequential process, conditional process and iterative process, and using this we have solved almost 70 to 75 algorithm. Then we have seen IPO cycle called as input process and output cycle, and finally in our last session we have discussed about the how to draw a flow charts, okay, and its importance. Now in the today's sessions, like under the language evaluations, we are going to study the three subtopics that include generations of language, then translator, linker and loader, and finally we will discuss about what study of programming language. So in the today's sessions we are going to discuss about the generations of language, while the rest of the two topics we will discuss in our subsequent session. So now under the generations of language, what are the things that you are going to learn? So under that we are going to discuss about the programming language and then generations of language. So under generations of language we are going to discuss about machine language, then assembly language, high-level language, fourth generation language and fifth generation language. So let's start with what is programming language. Before that, what is language and what is its purpose? So basically language is a mode of communication. Using this we are exchanging the information, we are transferring the information. Now question arises, what this language constitute? Okay, so every language constitutes of what certain character set. Only having the character set is not enough. It is also associated with what certain grammar that you need to follow. Okay, so it consists of what character set. Like when we are talking about English, the English language consists of what a character set between A to Z. Similarly, in Hindi we have a 44 characters between what A to Nya. So all these characters are basically useful for constructing the words and the sentences. Okay. So now what language constitutes? Every language constitutes of what? Certain character set followed by a grammar that you need to follow. Now, Mr. Anand studying in SP College. How you are going to say in Hindi? Anand SP Mahavidyalaya mein पढ़ रहा है. Okay, how you are going to say in Marathi? Anand SP College मध्ये शिकत आहे. It means what is the basic meaning of all this? The meaning is same. What has been changed? Only the character sets. The way that you used to say. Okay. So basic remain will always same irrespective of the language that you are going to use. So now we know that computer understands only the instructions. So a set of instructions to perform a particular job is called as what? Program. Computer understand only the instructions. Okay, computer is not going to perform any job itself. So whatever the instruction that you are going to provide to a computer, that only those tasks are going to be carried out by the computer and not others. Okay, so this set of instruction is known as what? Program. So every programming language follows a certain rules that have been chosen by you while carrying out a certain task, and has its own set of characters and need to follow what? Now syntax. Now instead of calling as a grammar, we are calling in computer terminology it as a syntax to use them. It means every programming language has their own set of characters, and you need to follow all those characters while constructing the set of instruction. So program written in a specific language using a computer is called as what? A programming language. Always use development tools like algorithm or flowchart to solve a given problem instead of trying directly using a programming language. So before, as soon as you got certain problem, first of all try to understand what you need to do in order to solve that particular problem, and roughly write all those steps that you need to carry out by means of what? Algorithm, and then only try a programming language, because algorithms and flowcharts are basically referred as what? Development tools. Computer programming is a process of writing, testing, debugging, troubleshooting and maintaining what? The source code of a computer program. So simply writing is not enough. You need to save that program so that if it is required later on, you will be able to use it. You need to test whether the program that you have written, the step that you have written, whether it is correct or not. Suppose that if you want to find out the additions of two numbers, but by mistakenly you have written C is equal to A minus B. It means instead of writing a plus symbol, you have written what? A minus symbol. So of course you are going to get a result, but that result is not the correct result. It means the result that you are going to get using a computer should match with that of what? A manual work or manual operation that you are doing. Both the result must get match. Then only we will say that the step that you have written is correct. Not only that, during writing a program, you need to debug the program just to check whether all the instruction has been written properly or not. So basically debugging means what? Checking the syntax that you have written is proper or not. So all these things you need to do once you have written a program. Okay, it is not like an algorithm where you have written a steps. Again, algorithm cannot be executed on a computer. We have already discussed. We already discussed in length about this in our earlier sessions. Thus, we can say that programming language are what? They are the primary tools for developing a computer software. Okay, using this program only, we are creating the softwares. Now, the generations of language, the topic of our today's discussion. What do by generations of language? We will discuss. The term generations of computer language is used to classify the enhancement in various computer language over a period of time. Okay, the computer has been started around 1940s and since then we are using a computer. So over a period of this time, a lot of computer programming language has been evaluated. So we need to understand now generation means the major enhancement that has been took place while performing or carrying out certain tasks. That is what a generation. So each generation indicates a certain significant progress. By means of what? By means of what? They are making computer programming easier to use. Okay, and not only that, they are making it more compact and dynamic by a technological advancement in hardware sector too. It is not only the advancement in the software. At the same time, there were a lot of progress that are taking place in the hardware sector too, and because due to that, you are finding that there were so many changes are occurring in day by day. So over a period of time, you have used a vacuum tube, transistors, and integrated chip, and so on. Now we are reached to the phase called as artificial intelligence, where we are going to provide a computer intelligence and computer will be able to think like a human. So the programming language on the basis of their performance, reliability and robustness can be grouped into 5 different generations, and again this generation can be classified into basically 2 parts, that is low level and high level. Under the low level, we have a 2 generations, that is first generation and second generation, which are referred as machine and assembly language respectively, while in case of the high level language, we have a 3 generation, that is third generation, which is also referred as what? High level language, while the 4th generation language are basically referred as a very high level language. Okay, basically the 4GL consists of what? A statement similar to the statement that a human language are using. We will discuss all of them one by one during few next slide. Then a 5th generation language is the language which contains what? Visual tools that help to develop the program, which consists of the artificial intelligence. Okay, is one of the major topic. Then machine learning, deep learning, these are some of the hot topics that comes under the what? 5th generation language. Now programming language have been developed over the years in a phase manner. Phase manner means in a stepwise. During each phase, programming language becomes what? More friendly, easier to use and become more powerful. Improvement made during each phase of programming language can be referred as what? A generation. Improvement made during each phase of the programming language can be referred as generation. major advancement, a major changes that has been took place are referred as what? A generation. This is the basically chart that shows a generation. 1940s is basically machine oriented, and as the year passing, we are moving towards what? The human oriented. Now, these are the roughly period. Okay, please remember, it is showing that, for example, when you are talking about the third generation language, it has been started around 1970s, and it is showing what it was sum up to 1985 or so on. And we know that we are using a C language which comes under the third generation language till today. Okay, so this is simply what we can say that it is not in a specific period when the first generation end and when the second generation start. Okay, even today some people are using the machine language and assembly language in order to solve their problems. So in practice, there are no well-defined period from one generation to another, and even no well-defined time when the one generation come into the general use. Okay. Now we will start with a machine language. It is also referred as the first generation language that we already discussed. First generation language are also called as what? Binary machine language, because it uses a character set 0 and 1 in order to write any instructions. It uses only the 2 character set. Like in English, we are using what? A symbol between A to Z in order to write any instructions or steps. So similarly, in machine language, we have only 2 character set, that is 0 and 1, which is also referred as what? Binary digits. The set of instruction code that are stored in a binary format, that is in the form of 0 and 1, and which are directly understood by the computer without the help of translating program, is called as what? Machine language program. Since computer understand the machine code itself, that is in the form of 0 and 1, and which is also referred as what? Native language, that is the first language of the computer. Okay, since the program has been written in the computer language itself, we don't need any kind of translation. We will discuss about the translation in much more detail in our next session. So in the 1950s, each computer had its own native language, as the computer directly understand the code written in this language only. Just we have discussed. In machine language, all the instruction, memory, location, number and characters are represented in the strings of what? 0 and 1 only, that is in binary digits only. Okay, all the instruction, constant values, then the memory locations, everything has been specified in the form of 0 and 1 only. So let us discuss one of the problems. If you want to find out a step to perform the additions of say 1234 with that of 4321 using a machine language, what kind of instruction and steps you need to write in order to carry out this task? You need to write such a lengthy instruction set in order to write what? In order to perform the additions of these two numbers. Now here we don't know which number is 1234, which number is 4321, and which instruction is performing the addition, because everything has been written in the form of 0 and 1. Okay, and this computer, Mark II computer, has been used in order to solve this particular problem. Okay, now, so what is the drawback? Difficult to know which instruction is assigning the values and which instruction is performing the additions. Okay, so let's see first of all the advantages. High speed. Since the program has been written in the form of machine language code only, it is going to execute the program at very high speed since it has been understood by the CPU. Then there is no translation is required in order to convert this machine language into some other, because code has been already written in the machine language itself. We don't need any kind of translation fee. Translation, we can call it a translation free. It means we don't require any kind of translation. Then it utilizes the memories very well. Now what are the disadvantages? Program written in machine language were what? Machine dependent. It means if you have written a program in particular computer, it may not be work on some another computer. Please remember, we are talking about the era of 1950s. Then challenging to write the code only in the form of 0 and 1. Okay, it is very difficult to write the instructions and code, everything in the form of 0 and 1. And remembering this instruction in the binary form is again very tedious. Okay, it means there might be a certain combinations of zeros and 1 in order to perform the addition. So remembering those combinations for performing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division with so many other operations that can be possible to solve using the computer. So remembering those instructions in the form of zeros and 1 is again tedious or difficult. Difficult to detect the errors, and not only that, it is again difficult to modify the code once you have written, because again same problem, that is zeros and 1. And knowledge of computer architecture is somewhat essential in order to write a program using a machine language. It means one needs a lot of skill, as instructions are very lengthy and complex. Just we have seen, just to find out the additions of two numbers, we have written almost some 10 to 12 lines in machine language to carry out that task in the form of zeros and 1. Thus, it takes more time to write a program. So these are some of the disadvantages of machine language, and due to which we have what? There is an evaluation, and now we are talking about what? The assembly language. So it is also referred as what? Second generation language. They are classified into low level language because they are so closely related to the machine. Okay, again it comes under the low level language itself. As we know that computer understand only the machine language, that is in the form of ones and zeros, it is difficult for a programmer to remember every code and write a program which consists of the character set, that is zeros and 1. Just we have discussed about it. This resulted in the evaluation of what? Assembly language in the mid 1950s. Assembly language are basically a symbolic programming language that use a symbolic notation or mnemonic to represent the machine language instruction code that are meaningful abbreviation. It means for performing the additions which may consist of certain zeros and ones and zeros, we have given what? A code, or which is also referred as what? A symbol or mnemonic to represent that number set of numbers by means of a certain keyword, for example add. Okay, so which makes a programming little bit easier. Here developer has substituted certain symbolic notation instead of writing a code in the form of zeros and 1 for performing the or taking certain action like add for addition, sub for subtraction, div for division, MOV for assignments. Okay, and we are calling them as what? Pseudo instruction. Now, nearly every instruction is written in one-to-one correspondence between machine instruction and assembly instruction. It means for each instruction that you used to write in machine, for that we need to write a corresponding instruction in assembly language. Okay. Now again take a same example to find out the additions of two numbers now using assembly language. Observe that it was somewhat easy to understand. We have a number 1234. We are assigning it to some register called as CX over here. Then here again we are what we are doing? Again we are assigning. Here we are performing certain addition. So compared to the machine language, we can say that it was somewhat easy to understand. Okay, because of what? A mnemonic code that has been used. This is also called as what? Opcode. While these are what? These are called as operand. Okay. Better compared to machine code due to what? Symbolic code. It looks much more better. So what is the general format of writing the assembly language code? So it is what? Label followed by opcode and followed by operand. It means these are the two optional things. You need to specify these things, opcode and operand. Now what are the advantages of assembly language? It is easy to develop, understand and modify the program design in this language as compared to those developed in the first generation. Okay, as just we have seen, because writing a program in the form of zeros and 1 is very difficult, but when you are writing the same program using the assembly language, it was somewhat easy compared to the machine language. The programs written in this language are less prone to errors and can be maintained with a great ease. It means now finding or detecting the errors or modifying certain instruction is quite easy in assembly language. But again remember, they are not somewhat closer to human oriented language. They were machine dependent. Compared to the machine language format, it is easy to understand and use. Okay, no doubt. Now what are the disadvantages? assembly language are again machine dependent. It means they are not the program that you are written in a particular machine may not be work on some another machine. It means there is a less portability. A program run on assembly language on one computer may not work on another, just we have discussed. Basic knowledge of computer architecture is again essential, which will help you to write a program in a better manner. Programmer must think like the machine only. That is the drawbacks of what? Assembly language, and you require what? A translator in order to convert the program from assembly language into the machine language. Now we will discuss about the high level language. It is also called as compiler language or third generation language and evaluated during the period called as 1960s to 70s. To overcome the difficulties associated with the assembly language, high level language or procedural oriented language were developed. High level language permit a programmer to describe the task in a simple language format rather than the computer oriented format. It means we are moving toward the human oriented concept with the third generation language, and due to which computer has become very much popular, because now writing a program has become very easy and you don't need to understand the architecture of the computer in order to write a program. This makes a computer much more powerful and successful in the society as a tool. High level language allows us to write a computer code using the instruction resembling the everyday spoken language. For example, print, if, while, these are the some of what our day-to-day word. So such kind of word has been used as a form of instruction. A programmer can formulate the problem more efficiently in a high level language. The instructions written in a high language are called as what? Statements. Okay. Here, one statement in a high-level language programming language may be expanded into a several corresponding machine language instruction. It means the instruction that you are writing using the high-level language. For example, if you have written a very single instruction, it may require some 4 to 5 steps, same step in machine language. Compared to the mnemonic in assembly language, they were closely resembles what? English and mathematical symbols. It means now with this we are started using what? The mathematical symbols while writing the programs. So let us see some of the high-level language program that has been included over here: Basic, Pascal, C, and so on. And again, high-level language can be subdivided into the 3 formats, basically structured language, procedural language, and object-oriented language. A step that performs the additions of, again same problem, to find out the additions of 1234 with 4321 using a basic language. See how it is easy. We are assigning the value to a variable, second value to another variable, then we are performing the addition and we are displaying the result. Now it is very easy. We are using some mathematical symbols, we are using some day-to-day word like print, and so that makes a computer writing a program become, now what? It has become much more easier. So observe, we require only few instructions to perform the operation compared to the machine and assembly language, and it is easy to understand and readable. We are able to read it, which is not possible in case of the machine language. Now what are the advantages? They were machine independent. It means now portability of the program is very easy. It means the program that we have written on a particular computer may work on the another computer without any issues. Easy to write a program, easy to debug the errors and detect the errors, less development costs, and easy for readability. So these are some of the features that make the high-level language popular. Precise knowledge of architecture of computer is not required. This is the one more important step, and a program written in this language can be developed in a significantly less time as compared to the first and second generation language. Okay, and the impact of third generation language on society has become huge, due to which more people attracted to the computer. We already discussed about it. Okay, because of all these features, computer has become has been used by the various people for a different purpose. Because due to this, the computer has become popular. Okay, and many more people have started working with the computer from the third generation language onwards. Now, what are the disadvantages? Poor control over hardware, then less efficient in terms of computation time because it requires more time to perform the operation because we need to convert this program into the machine language format. Required more memory space, and like I said, required a translator to convert what high level language program into the machine language. So these are some of the disadvantages of your high level language. There is a comparison chart between the high level language, assembly language and machine language. So let's discuss. So programs are more readable and understandable in high level language. Programs are less understandable and very difficult to read and understand. Programs are not machine dependent, while in this case they were machine dependent. Then program must be translated into the machine language. Again, program must be translated into the machine language. Here we don't require any kind of translation. Debugging and finding the error is quite easy. Debugging is easy compared to what machine language and very difficult to debug. Evaluation of a program takes more time to execute. Okay, it required more time for execution because first of all we need to convert that program into the machine language. Same thing over here, and execution become very easy and it is faster in case of machine language. Now, fourth generation language. The fourth generation language are a programming language that are closer to human language than a typical high level programming language, and sometimes referred as what? Very high level programming language. The fourth generation programming language were designed and developed to reduce the time, cost and effort needed to develop different types of software applications. Okay, now writing a program has become much more easy with the fourth generation language. We will discuss within a moment in our next slide. It was evaluated during the period say 1980s, and most 4GL used to access a database like MS Access, Oracle, Sybase, Ingress. Okay, so basically fourth generation language also sometimes referred as what? Database programming language. They describe what should be done but not how to do it. For example, if you want to delete a student say XYZ from a table or from a file, it was a simple statement that you need to write in order to perform this operation. While in case of the third generation language, you used to write some 20 to 40 lines in order to perform the same task. Now using a single instruction, we are able to perform the job of what? Deleting a student from the database. Okay, so that makes a programming much more easier now. So in the above delete statement, we do not know how the database will determine which student name is what? XYZ. Presumably, the server will loop through all the students in some order. Here we don't know in which order it is determining the order to determine the right entries to delete. Okay, so here details of this are hidden from us. We don't know exactly how this code has been written. Thus, the 4GL insulate the user from underlying the data structure and the algorithm. So this is the advantage of what? Fourth generation language. Using a single instructions, you are able to perform various operations. Now, what are the advantages? The instructions are written in an English-like sentence. Okay, they are non-procedural. It means you don't need to write any specific procedure in order to perform your job. It means you need to simply concentrate on what you need to do rather than how to do it. They increase the productivity because programmers type a fewer lines of code to get something done. That is, one line of 4GL code is equivalent to the several lines of your third generation language. Okay. This programming language allows the efficient use of data by implementing the various database. Like I earlier said, fourth generation language is also referred as what? A database programming language. So they are very much helpful when you want to interact with a certain database. They require a less time, cost and effort to develop different types of software applications. Compared to the other generations of language, the program developed in this language are what? Highly portable. It means the program that you have written on one computer can be executed on another computer without any problems. Now, what are the disadvantages? Consume or required more memory space, required a high processor. A common perception of 4GL is that they do not make efficient use of machine resources. We hardly use any kind of machines interaction using the 4th generation languages, or we may say that it is insulated from the users. Now the 5th generation language. The 5th generation language, or 5GL, are the programming language that contain a visual tools that help to develop a program very easily. It provides a visual or graphical interface called as visual programming environment for creating a source code like Visual Basic, Visual C++. Okay, so all of them are a new tools in order to write the program very easily. 5th generation programming language allows people to interact with the computer without needing any specialized knowledge. Okay, see how very efficiently we are using the MS Word, PowerPoints. It means what? All the development is making towards the human by keeping the user in mind. Okay, so that is what enhancement. People can talk to the computers, and the voice recognition system can convert the spoken sound into the written word. So using the voice, you are able to give an instruction to a computer to perform your job. The programming language of these generations are mainly focused on a constraint programming. Now what do I mean by constraint programming? A constraint programming is a paradigm for solving the wide range of techniques from artificial intelligence, computer science, and operation research. Okay, so these are some of the areas where you can use a 5th generation language. Examples of 5th generation language include the Mercury, UF5, and Prolog. Now what are the advantages? These languages can be used to query the database in a fast and efficient manner. In these generations of language, user can communicate with the computer system in a simple and easy manner. It means using vocal instructions, we are able to perform your operation and get your work done. Now what is the overall conclusion? As a result of various improvements to the development of the computer programming language, due to making it more user friendly or human friendly, we have seen a computer being used in all the areas of life. Lower language such as assembly language are much more efficient and execute more quickly. Here the programmer have a good control over the hardware, but writing or coding using a machine and assembly language is difficult, we have discussed. Sometimes a middle level language that use the features of higher level language and lower language are mixed to get the best of both the world. For example, C. C support the features of the low level language as well as the high level language, and hence it is referred as a middle level language. So this is the overall discussions of the generations of language. So again, remember, when we are talking about the generations, we are thinking in terms of the kind of enhancement that has been done during that period. Okay, and that is on the basis of that we have a total 5 generations, and we are still continuing with a 5th generation. But remember, it doesn't mean that we are not talking about the 3rd generation, or we are not using the 3rd generation programming language or 1st generation programming language. Still some people are using them. Okay, so that is the overall conclusion of our today's session. I hope that you understood all the things. Okay, these are some of the references for you. With that, thank you very much. Have a nice day.